My fiancé proposed to two other women before me. His best man let it slip at our engagement party. I walked out. Am I the a-hole? I, a 28-year-old woman, discovered something about my fiancé David, who's 31, that has completely shattered my world, and I need to know if I'm overreacting. David and I have been together for 2 years. We met through mutual friends at a weekend BBQ, and everything just clicked. He's charming, successful as a software engineer, and has always been incredibly attentive. He proposed 3 months ago during a surprise trip to Hawaii, and I was over the moon. Everything seemed perfect until our engagement party last weekend. It was supposed to be a beautiful celebration at my parents' house. Friends and family had gathered from out of town, and everyone was enjoying themselves. That is, until David's best man, Mike, had a few too many drinks and started telling stories about David's past relationships. He mentioned how different this engagement party felt from the others, and my heart stopped. When I pulled Mike aside to ask what he meant, he looked horrified, assuming I knew. He revealed that David had been engaged twice before, both times following almost identical timelines to ours. His first engagement was to Emma 6 years ago after dating for 14 months. He broke it off 2 months before the wedding. His second engagement was to Sarah 4 years ago after dating for 16 months. That one ended 3 months before the wedding. I felt like the room was spinning. David had told me about 2 serious relationships before me, but he'd never mentioned any engagements. I walked straight back to the party and confronted him in front of everyone. The look on his face told me everything I needed to know. He tried to grab my arm and take me somewhere private to talk, but I couldn't bear to be touched by him in that moment. Standing there in my parents' backyard, surrounded by fairy lights and celebration decorations, I asked him directly if he'd been engaged before. When he hesitated, I knew. Without saying another word, I took off my engagement ring, placed it on the gift table, and walked out. I could hear him calling after me, but I just got in my car and drove to my best friend's house. It's been a week now, and I'm still staying with my friend. David has been calling and texting constantly, saying I'm throwing away our future over his past mistakes. He's even had his mother call me, we've always been close, to tell me I'm being hasty and that David has grown so much since those other relationships. The more I dig, the worse it gets. Both previous engagements followed almost identical patterns to ours. He dated each woman for about a year, proposed during a romantic getaway, and then broke things off months before the wedding, citing reasons like personal growth and timing issues. He even used some of the same romantic gestures with them that I thought were special to us. David keeps insisting that what we have is different. He says he was young and impulsive then, and that he kept it from me because he didn't want me to doubt his commitment to our relationship. But all I can think about is how we've been together for 2 years, just like his previous relationships, and we're approaching the same timeline where he usually backs out. My friends are split on this. Some say I'm right to walk away from what seems like a clear pattern of commitment issues. Others think I'm throwing away a good relationship over things that happened before he met me. They point out that David has never been anything but loving and committed to me, and that our relationship has already lasted longer than his previous ones. Here's what's eating at me. David and I have built a life together. We've been actively planning our future, looking at houses and talking about having children. We even put a deposit down on a wedding venue last month. He's always been attentive, supportive, and seemingly committed to our relationship. But I can't shake the feeling that I'm just the latest in a pattern. 3 women, 3 proposals, 3 expensive rings, 3 nearly identical timelines. The fact that he hid this from me feels like a massive betrayal. If he'd been upfront about his past, maybe I could have handled it, but finding out this way makes me question everything. What's really bothering me is something I discovered recently. He still has photos from both previous engagements stored in a hidden folder on his laptop. I found them while looking for a document he'd asked me to print. When I brought this up during one of his many calls trying to explain himself, he said he forgot they were there. But who keeps engagement photos from failed relationships hidden away while planning a new wedding? Looking back, there were signs I ignored. He was always vague about his past relationships, changing the subject when they came up. He pushed for a relatively quick engagement, though not as quick as the previous ones. He's made comments about finally getting it right this time, that hit different now. He's even used some of the exact same phrases in his proposal that he apparently used with the others. My brother thinks I'm an asshole for not giving David a chance to prove he's changed. My mom suggests couples counseling. David's latest text says he'll do anything to prove this time is different. But every time I think about going back, I imagine myself having the same conversation with fiancé number 4 in a few years. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for walking out instead of trying to work through this? Should I at least hear him out, or am I right to trust my gut and end things now? Because right now, every memory of our relationship feels tainted, and I'm not sure I can ever trust him again. Thanks for listening to Am I the A-Hole Reddit Stories? Please subscribe.